Hello, good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight. We really do appreciate you taking some time out to join our webinar this evening. I'm Susie Smith. I'm going to be telling you a little bit about what's going to be in store for you this evening through the webinar. It's going to last around 20 to 30 minutes, and we are recording it, and so it will be uploaded afterwards if there's anything that you want to go back and have a look at afterwards. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to the two ladies on my left, because they're going to be doing the majority of the talking this evening. And can I start by introducing Sophia?
Yeah, hi. So I'm Sophia, one of the directors of TLC. I've worked in the early years for 15 years. I have a master's in early education, have been a manager of early year settings. I've sort of done every job going in a nursery, but have led a team to outstanding at Ofsted in recent years, and now I'm part of this TLC company, so sort of experts in the childcare industry, leading, delivering training for other childcare providers.
Great. And Chantal, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, of course. So my name's Chantal, and I, like Sophia, have been working in childcare, but for many more years than Sophia. So just coming up for 30 years. My background is early years. I've managed small settings, large settings. I've been an Ofsted inspector. I am currently an apprentice trainer for childcare. And yeah, I specialise in after school club, outdoor education, and I'm a trained forest school leader. And yeah, have a passion for ensuring that the training that we deliver to our staff is as good as it can be for the children that we're looking after.
So let's just start first of all by explaining TLC, who we are, what it does. So Sophia, can you just talk me through the business itself?
Yeah, so TLC has sort of been born out of our experience. We looked at the training that we were providing to staff within our nurseries and really felt that it was impactful, it was benefiting the children, but also we have a real love of learning, so that the staff and the employers and other childcare professionals have the opportunity to extend their skills and their learning to impact the children that they care for. So TLC is local in Cornwall, but we are going to have a really sort of vivid and lively online platform, so you could access it from wherever. But what's really, really important about our training and what we're really passionate about is having every course has an element of practical. So we know that what we work in is very, very vocational. It's very hands-on. We still work in nurseries today. We're occupationally competent. And we think that's really important. So every CPD course or standalone unit that we're going to be talking about tonight that we can offer has that practical element. So that if a member of your team, or perhaps you if you're an early years professional, is undertaking one of these training units, you do learn a bit of knowledge, you extend your knowledge and your skills, but then you put it into action in your setting, or if you're a childminder with your children, so that it's really hands-on. It really is sort of learning that's making a change, a sustained change, is developing practice from the minute that you sort of sign up. So it's useful. It should be really, really useful training.
So it sounds as if it's going to be quite stimulating and challenging, but are the sessions, are they fun?
We try to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's an online platform, so you can log in from home if you want to, or from work, whenever you like, and do your kind of knowledge evidence where you're learning and you're going through maybe some videos or some questions where you're developing your knowledge, that underpinning knowledge. And then that practical element you can get started with on day one, or you might choose to get started a little bit later in your course. And that's the fun bit. That's where you can use the learning that you're doing, but hands-on with the children. So if you're doing a woodland unit about forest school, then you're going to have some challenges to do with your children, and you're going to get feedback on that from your assessor. So it's really hands-on learning, as opposed to sort of going and doing a 5-hour training course and then coming back and thinking, what was it that I was supposed to be doing? You're getting your feedback along the way.
Yeah.
And you're also getting support from your online tutor.
Yeah.
So each course has a specialist person who looks after you while you're doing your training, and their job is to support you through it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind then, that moves me quite nicely on to asking you about Skills Store, because there are two programs, aren't there? Skills Store and Skills Lab. And I understand that Skills Store is about accessing free courses. So Sophia, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so firstly, it sounds too good to be true, and that is the feedback we've had on anyone who wanted to sign up tonight. They sort of thought, nah, free training, we get offers for free training all the time. It's actually better than that, because not only is the training free, as we said, it's very specialised to early years. It's written by experts for the early years, but also the employer gets paid. So it's a bit mad. You get paid to train and you get access to the training without paying anything yourself. So the CPD courses we have, let's go back. We have sort of a whole range of courses, from CPD courses, standalone units, accredited units, level 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. There's so many options that we can sort of provide. And what it is really is that we have 5 core pathways. So those pathways are the topics. So we've got our mental well-being, physical skills, special educational needs, communication and language, and then staff development. So within those 5 pathways, you could just do a little standalone unit. So for example, in emotional coaching or emotional well-being, just a small unit. You could do a level 2 or a level 3 standalone unit in sort of mental health in the early years, or you could go the full way and do like a mental health first aid course. There's so many options of different levels. So we're hoping to make it accessible. So if you are just starting out and you just want a small unit, there's that option, still with that practical element, all the way up to accredited bigger courses.
And so where can we find out about all of the courses? Because it sounds like there is an awful lot, and we won't have time to talk about them all tonight.
No, so on our website, if we go to tlctraining.co.uk, then you can find out about all the courses. Equally, give us an email or pop it in the chat what you're interested in, because there are so many options. But I mean, some really popular courses that we've been running have been things like emotion coaching, the woodland and forest unit, things like, I'm just trying to think what else is really popular.
Grow it, cook it, eat it, which is all about teaching the children kind of sustainability of growing their produce, seeing it grow, picking it, cooking it, eating it, and kind of taking the delights on there.
And a really sort of hot topic at the moment with regards to like special educational needs. So how to use visual strategies with children, and because you've got that practical element coming in, you're learning the underpinning knowledge, but then you've got the opportunity to use those strategies and get some feedback. So that's the CPD, and then as I said, we go through level 2, 3, 4, 5 accredited units or full apprenticeships. So there's so much on offer.
We've got this full range of courses, Skills Store, and we've talked a little bit about how you get paid to train, but there's a voucher scheme, isn't there? How does the voucher scheme work?
Okay, so we've got a nice big pot of money, a funding pot, and from that funding pot, there's just some slight rules around the funding that you receive. So if you enrol on a standalone course with us, then your employer gets paid that money, which could be used as sort of like a backfill payment. We know, settings have real ratio requirements. We know the constraints if you can't just let your staff sort of jump out to do some training. So there's that backfill payment. Some employers might choose to split the payment and the person doing the training, it's a bit of an incentive, and it varies. So the payment that you get is dependent on the hours training that's undertaken and completed. So if you enrol on a course that's sort of 0 to 5 hours of CPD training hours, then your employer gets £40. If you go for 6 to 10 hours, then it's £80. If you go for 11 to 80 hours, it's £120. And then those payments go all the way up to an £800 voucher. And that is honestly £800 worth of money given to the employer. And that's for a fuller qualification, one of the bigger units or courses that you could take.
And that's on top of the training being free of charge?
Yes, so free training, and then that payment is made on completion.
Can I ask, where's this pot of gold come from?
It's our secret.
Yeah.
TLC won a really big bid with the European Social Fund, so the whole point is about developing the childcare sector.
Definitely.
I think as early years professionals, we're always saying that there's just not enough funding, incentivised, approach to childcare. We hear it in all different sectors all the time. It never seems to come down to early years, particularly in Cornwall and Devon. So it really is a bit of a pot of gold. We feel quite fortunate to have it. There's a lot of work that's gone behind the scenes, and now it's about us just getting it out there and saying, actually, you're a childminder, you're a nursery, you're a preschool, get involved, get enrolled, really importantly.
Get enrolled.
Yeah,
yes.
importantly.
So just to summarise, essentially, you can come on one of our training courses. We've got a range of different levels from CPD right up to qualification. The employer can access some funding, anything between £40 to £800, depending on how many hours you commit to.
And I think, so really importantly there is, if you've got a staff team of 20, all of your staff can do units. So you get multiple payments. It's not necessarily, it's not just one person in your setting, or, you know, if you're a childminder with assistants, or, you know, there's so many ways that you can kind of tie down that funding, but get the benefit of the learning as well. And that's what's should be really impactful about it. It should actually help your business financially, but also with the skills, knowledge and practice development as well.
Can I get funded training for more than one course? I mean, first of all, can I come on several courses, but will I get funded for several courses as well?
You can come on several courses, and come and join us. We're on all of the courses, so come along. No, you can come on several courses. You only get the funding for the one course, but obviously several employees in one business can all be separately funded. So you could have an employee who's doing a course that you get the £800 for, if that's a full, like an apprenticeship or qualification. You could have somebody who's doing a 5-hour CPD course. You know, it's so variable depending on the need of what that nursery or those individuals are trying to extend their skill set in.
So in theory, if I've got 50 staff, I could get 50 payments.
You could indeed. It is too good to be true, isn't it?
So I'm just going to move on slightly now and just move forward a little into Skills Lab, because I understand that's almost like the next step. We've got the training, which is one side of it, and then we've got Skills Lab, which is about designing your own training. Is that right, Chantal?
That's absolutely right, Susie, yes. So Skills Store is, as you said, what Sophia's been talking about, and then the second part of that project is Skills Lab, which is a really, really unique opportunity for people within the childcare sector to help us write, develop and design training courses for childcare practitioners.
Wow, and so it sounds like a very bespoke offering. Is it? How does that work? If they want, do they decide what they want to learn with you, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So what happens, it's a 3-step process. So step 1 is mandatory. So if you sign up for step 1, you complete step 1, and step 1 is where you complete a survey with your staff team or your childminding team or as you as an individual, and you just tell us all about your training, what you've had so far, what's worked, what hasn't worked, and we have a little kind of group discussion about that. We then move on to step 2, and step 2 is where we support you in completing a training needs analysis of your team, and that's going to be a really simple online tool that we can do, and we can analyse where your staff team feel they would best benefit from training. And then that moves to stage 3, where you join us for focus groups and discussions. These take place either online, face to face, depending on kind of the needs of you at the time, and that's where you give us input into how you'd like the course designed, what you'd like to have in the course, how you'd like it to run, whether you want it to be online, face-to-face, blended. So yeah, it's your chance to have a say in what you'd like to happen in childcare.
And it sounds like a real partnership between TLC and the employer, rather than us saying, well, this is the course, you've got to come on it.
Yeah.
If there's a need, I'm guessing that they can identify the needs, and you guys can help them.
It's the unique opportunity for employers to actually lead in what they'd like the training to be. So it's them having their say. They can put ideas in, they're part of the discussions, and then the training is developed around those specific needs in the childcare industry.
We've both worked as assessors and trainers in a nursery chain, and we've managed to get several settings to our Ofsted Outstanding by really identifying the need of the whole team and saying, actually, you know, our SEM practice, or in one it was a real love of outdoors, and actually identifying we need to have a really consolidated approach to this where we're all learning together and at different levels, because you might have a new trainee who's going to learn something but not at the same level as the senior team or someone who's been doing it for 20 years. So it's about sort of us identifying with the employer, what's your need, where do you really want to excel in, and how what can we provide you that's going to enable your staff team to do that?
Yeah, and employers really feeding into that and giving us an insight into what they actually what they want and what will work for them in regards to the delivery. You know, should it be online, should it be evenings, you know, it's listening to them and knowing what they want so that we can provide that bespoke offer for them.
I was going to ask that question because obviously when we talked about what time of day we should have this conversation, we felt it should be after work, essentially. So for both the Skills Lab and the Skills Store, when is this training happening? I guess you're mindful of time of day.
Yeah. Again, that's going to be input from the employers and when the best time is to suit them and their businesses.
Yeah, with Skills Store, obviously the individual that signs up has their little login. They can go in and do the online bits whenever they want to do it, whenever's convenient.
Absolutely.
And then that practical element, they can do in their working week because it's all about doing it with their children. And all of it is, you know, appropriate to do with the children in their care, and it's just going to be about providing the kind of new, interesting opportunities from the training that they've, you know, from the learning that they've been doing, putting it into practice.
So it's very flexible then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think also, you know, we have the funding for the Skills Store, but there's the voucher funding for taking part in the Skills Lab project.
Essentially, it's paid again.
It is paid again. It is paid again.
This.
Yes.
And it works on that sort of voucher scheme
It does.
theory. And so, can you just talk me through the process of what the payments are, how they work?
Yeah, absolutely. So each stage of the Skills Lab, so stage 1, you get a £150 voucher that goes to the employer for taking part and completing the survey and doing the discussion. And then if you move on to stage 2, you again get a £150 voucher payment for taking part in stage 2. And then for moving to stage 3, you get a £150 payment voucher for every group discussion that you take part in.
Every group?
So for every group. So if you just come to one group discussion, you get £150. If you come for 3, you get 3 lots of £150 for taking part. Absolutely.
But essentially, it does sound too good to be true, but if an employer is listening and thinking, oh, I want to know a bit more, that come to session 1,
Yeah,
do
absolutely.
the first part of session 1 and you get £150 for doing it. But we'll just take the information that you give us for you. You know, we're trying to deliver training that's great for you, but if at the end of session 1 you sort of think, actually, no, it's not something I want to do.
You don't have to come to the other sessions.
Okay.
There's no sign-up clause, is what I'm trying to say. Because I think everyone's a bit nervous of that.
So if
You're
you sign
gonna
up,
give
if
me
you sign
free
up to session
money.
1, you don't have to come to session 2 or session 3 unless you want to. But who wouldn't want to? Because actually, it's about you developing, you know, the employer developing their own training. With us so that we can put something out. And then what happens when we've completed session 3 and we've got everybody's information, everybody's shared their thoughts and ideas, our job is to put that training together, and then we have Skills Store Part 2. So those courses then go on offer to everybody, and again they get some funding to be able to do those courses.
So it's a real cyclical process then.
Absolutely.
With loads of money thrown in. Loads of learning, loads of money, and improving skills and practice with the children.
Yeah.
So we think it's a great offer, hence why we're here talking about it.
We're almost done, so I'm just going to ask you the important question about signing up. Those first steps, though, if somebody's expressed an interest, and there's a few obviously ways that you can express an interest, but what happens is the very first point of contact? Does somebody come and see me, or is it a phone call? How does it work?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lady who is our project manager, and yes, you can email her, and she will either phone you or come out and see you and have a discussion and a kind of initial meeting with you to discuss the needs of your business.
Is this a limited time offer, or, you know, is it going to go on forever, or what's the situation?
So we have a limited pot of gold, unfortunately.
This is there was a catch to fear.
So we do have a limited amount, but we have a lot of courses at the moment. We've got quite quite a few businesses or nurseries
Yes, we
signed
have,
up
yeah.
who are already sort of on board and expressing an interest for both Skills Store and Skills Lab. So we are encouraging sign up. The thing that we also have a very limited amount of that we haven't yet talked about is some funding, a real big incentive for apprenticeship funding.
Okay, yeah.
So we have a £3,000 incentive to have an apprentice on board, and the reason we have that kind of incentive is because you know, we want to really be able to offer funding that, you know, is what we need. And so often I think we find that those apprenticeships are run by big companies who don't necessarily specialise in early years, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
The only apprenticeships we run are in early years, so it's very bespoke and very specialised to the industry that we work in.
And again, it's about employer-led apprenticeships. So it's about talking to the employer about what they actually want out of the apprentice, what they want them to learn, and skills that they want to develop. So part of the incentive payment is to work with us so that we can deliver exactly what
in a really
the employer
effective
needs.
way, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, we want, again, those the time constraints and all those things that we talked about being a challenge. That's, you know, really important.
Fantastic. Okay, so thank you for joining us this evening. To just recap on some of the things that we've been talking about, we are TLC, an organisation which is led with experienced teams that still work within the sector but have a wealth of qualifications and knowledge that they can bring to your training. We can offer you paid, funded training for your team, or for you as an individual. You might be work as a childcare. What we can do is offer you training courses for a range of different pathways in a range of different areas, and you can access funding for those, and you will get paid for those as well, between £40 to £800. Moving on from that, we also offer Skills Lab, which is bespoke designed training that you tell us what you need, and the team will work with you to create that. And for every session that you come to, you'll get £150 to take part with that. You can get in touch. We've also have funding to create and support apprenticeships. And so finally, you can get in touch with us through our email. So please email us at inquiries@tlctraining.co.uk, or have a look on our website, which is www.tlctraining.co.uk. We will be popping loads of information and updates on there on a regular basis, but you can find everything you need on there right now. I think that's it. So thank you so much to Sophia and Chantal. We hope you found it useful in some way. And if you have any questions at all, please do get in touch with us. Please do visit the website, and please have some of our free money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.